Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this Spark configuration series, we are diving deep into the real world parameters that can make or break your performance. In our last video in the series of Spark configuration, we discussed about the dynamic resource allocation. In today's video, we are going to focus on specifically on partitioning, not just what it is, but how to tune your Spark configuration to get the best performance while reading and writing data, especially in large scale distributed system. Why partitions matter at all in Spark? Why we need to do partition. So partitioning is the backbone of performance in Spark. When done right, it ensures parallelism is maximized, shuffling is minimized, and resource uses is optimized. But when done wrong, it leads to things like small file problem, too many tasks, or underutilized executors. So in this video, we are going to discuss about key partitions related configuration. Yes, I'll not discuss all the partition how we are going to do while writing the script and all, but while configuring the Spark, how we can use the benefit of partitioning data, which can help us to read the data properly and proper manner, because as we know, without proper partitioning data we can have big files or small files together. In some cases we can have too many partitions, or maybe some cases we can have very small number of partitions, which can make our life difficult while reading the data from a source. Suppose we have a big data, okay, suppose terabytes of data, and in that, suppose our executor size is 10 GB. Okay, now if in, for just for example, imagine if in 10 GB executor, if a 10 GB executor try to read a 12 GB of data partition, will that be a ideal situation? No, right? Okay, don't take it hard way. I'm just giving it a example. So think about that. So we have to do partition properly. Even then, think like this way: if you have 10 GB of data and your partition size is only 10 MB, will that be correct again? No, right? So we have to think a proper way how we can handle the partition, what will be the default partition. Here we'll discuss what we can set a number of partition, and eventually in the continuously when we'll keep on doing these videos, we'll discuss about in the future, of course, how to calculate the number of partition, how to calculate the resources which we need to process in number of data or a chunk of data. So now for in this video we'll discuss only the part of the partition which we can configure easily, and that can help us optimize our job properly. So let's move on. Let's now break down the four important configuration you will want to tune while doing the Spark configuration. In our case, number one is Spark SQL file max partition bytes. So what it do? So it basically do it set a default number that will help you to read the file, how it will set the partitions. Suppose set the maximum size of the partition when reading file. Larger file will be splitted into multiple partition if they exceeded this size. So suppose you have partitions data, parquet data in partitions, and their size is uh, suppose 5 GB or maybe 1000 MB. Okay, now that file, suppose your executor which have, suppose your file is let's go to previous example, where our we consider our data partition is 12 GB. Okay, now your 10 GB executor is trying to read that. That's not possible, right? But in this case, if you use this one, okay, it can help you. This configuration will help you to uh, divide your partition into smaller partitions. Okay, and the default size you can set by yourself. By default it is 128 MB, but you can set it to around 300 MB or something. Yeah, well, when I am saying 300, that's kind of ideal. 256, 300, we'll come to that later part. Okay, uh, or you can let it be 128 MB, that is default size. If you are not setting any value here, then it will be by default 120 MB. And yeah, smaller partition also can make your life difficult, because that will generate more garbage while reading the data, and it will take time also to read too many files, because at the end of the day, partitions are files saved in our location, right? So if the partition size are small, we have to read too many files there. Okay, how we can configure this? Here we have the example. Here we can write like this, hyphen hyphen config, then spark.sql.files.maxPartitionByte equals to, I would not said 864. This is just an example. I would have said this to 256 around, or something like that. So yes, that spark sql spark.sql.file open cost in bytes. So what it will do, it will estimate the cost of opening a file. If a file size is smaller than this value, it will be read in a single partition. So suppose uh, if you have in your partitions, where you suppose in a S3 location you have kept a parquet file in partitions. Okay, so suppose in that your few partitions you have which is lesser than, in this case, 4 MB. So 4 MB here, in this case default, if you are not setting up anything, it will be 4 MB. Okay, so suppose you want to get all that file together which size is less than suppose 1 MB or 2 MB. Okay, you want to get all that file together in the single partition while reading the data. Okay, so this configuration can help you in that case. And how we will do this? We'll do like conf spark.sql.config open cost in byte, so 1 MB. So why we are doing this? So while reading the data, our spark is going and opening the file to read the data, right? And suppose there is 1,000 file less than 1 MB data. Okay, so now if spark go ahead and read one by one all that file, that will be a difficult situation. So it's better than gather all the data or file together and read the data together. Okay, so yeah, just example of that. Then the other one is spark.sql.parquet.block.size. So what it will do? Block size control the size of a block in a parquet file. Smaller block size may lead to more partitions, while larger size may result to fewer partitions. So it's also have default value of 128, but you can maximize or minimize it according to your use case. Okay, then spark default parallelism. So parallelism, what we understand by parallelism? So how many tasks will get execute together side by side? Okay, uh, using the core. I mean, in single, I mean, suppose you have 100 core available. Okay, then it can take 100 tasks together, and it can process 100 tasks together side by side. Okay, so this configuration can set the default level of parallelism for operations, like affects how partitions are created during data reading and processing. So typically set a total course. I mean, suppose you want to set up 100 cores in total while processing the data. You can directly can choose this. I mean, spark hyphen conf space spark dot default dot parallelism equals to 100. So these are the thing you can do. This are the way you can handle the partitioning the data while reading the data. Out of this, I find this one is most helpful. I mean, as I told you, while we learn the calculation of resources, that time we'll know how to calculate this the resources, and we'll set up the uh, max partition byte. I mean, you can increase this of course, but not too much. I mean, I can go till, I mean, I can easily go till 256, and that's a good number. 256 MB, that's a good number to read the file from data and do the partitions. So yeah, how we can do the configuration. So here we have a sample, like we have discussed in previous video: master deployment, cluster deployment mode, then memory, driver memory, executor memory. So if you want to mention the max partition byte, you can do it like this way, and this is the whole picture. Then at the end, you can mention your script. Remember, you don't have to mention all this, it's already set to a default number. Okay, it has its on default number. Okay, so you can excuse uh, which one you don't want to do, but the this one the this one is more helpful, I found, in my career. So yeah, few tips before ending the video. When you are trying to tuning those monitor with spark UI or logs, avoid setting blindly. Always test first, okay, how it is reacting in your test environment. Okay, combine with repartition clause as needed. If you need that, we have discussed repartition and uh, college in our previous video also, but yes, so you can go ahead and check what is that, and in future also we can discuss what are the partition and how we can handle that while writing the script. We'll come to that later while writing the script. So remember, one size does not fit all. Okay, so depends on your file size, formats, and cluster capacity. Set this number. So in this video, we looked at the four most important partitioning configs and how they impact Spark performance during both read and write. Stay tuned till then. Bye bye, guys.